Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is literally my third time literally recording this, so I hope this is the last take because I'm gonna give up. But yes, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute. I haven't recorded in about a year. It's taken me forever to get this video out. Like I always say, I'm sorry. And if you have been a subscriber for a while, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you even watching this. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Blessing. If you don't know my title already, that kind of gives it's a giveaway to where I've been for the past year, but I am about to share my pregnancy journey. So that's where I've been pregnant and I gave birth for the past year. So I just wanted to come on here just to kind of tell you my pregnancy journey and tell you like each step and what how I found out, etc. And in future videos I am going to talk about my labour and delivery as well as my postpartum and breastfeeding and all that jazz. Yeah, if you are interested, please keep watching. Whew, I'm really hot. Okay, all right, we can do this. We can do this. Cool. So I first want to acknowledge what's happening at the moment. So as you know, with the whole quarantine and COVID-19 and the coronavirus, like everyone's stuck at home. I don't want to say stuck at home, I say we are staying safe. So my heart and my prayers go out to all those who are currently pregnant at the moment, because I know it is a trying time for quite an anxious time for those who are pregnant at the moment. But prayers are going out to you. You are going to be fine. Your baby's going to be fine. It may be in the unconventional way and situation based on what's happening in the hospitals at the moment, but rest assured you are going to be fine. So just keep staying safe. My prayers go out to you guys. But yeah, let me first off by starting off with how I found out I was pregnant. We rewind back to last year. Actually, let's rewind back to 2018. So in November 2018, me and Sen unfortunately suffered a miscarriage. So I unfortunately lost the baby back then at about 8 weeks. I will probably make a video about it, but I want to start off with that because I know miscarriage can be quite a taboo subject and a lot of people unfortunately do go through it, and it is quite common, but not a lot of people do talk about it. First off, I want to start off by saying that because that kind of forms the story a little bit. I probably will do a separate video about that, but back in 2018 unfortunately we did lose a baby. 6 months after, I eventually found out that I was pregnant again. So on May 11th is my wedding anniversary, so we were actually meant to go to Santorini for our wedding anniversary, and on that day is actually when I was due on my period. Fun times. So a week before that, however, I was starting to feel some cramps, and if you know this, pregnancy cramps and period cramps are like this. They go hand in hand. They are pretty much the same thing. So I was getting really bad cramps, but I was getting them really early, so I thought maybe my period is going to come a little bit earlier than expected. Me and Stem were trying, but we weren't not trying at the same time. It was just, yeah, so I wasn't really expecting pregnancy as well, so I just thought my period was going to come earlier than usual. For about a couple of days after I was getting the cramps, I was still feeling the pain but still no period, so I decided to pack my pads, as well as my pregnancy test with me on the trip to Santorini. I didn't tell Stan anything. I just thought I didn't want to startle him or get him excited. I just didn't tell him anything. I just packed my tests and my pads just in case. So on the Saturday, on our anniversary, we went back to the activities and stuff like that, and I was guaranteed, I knew for sure that by the time I got home I probably was in my period because of the pain that I was in. I was cramping so hard. I was thinking, how am I cramping this hard but having no period? But I was guaranteed, like I knew that it was gonna come, but still nothing came. And I think the day after that, I think me and Sin actually got into an argument, and this is just real life, this is marriage guys, I'm not gonna front. We probably were fighting, I can't remember what we were fighting about, but I was annoyed, he was annoyed, and I think at the end of it I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a pregnancy test and see for if I'm pregnant. So I ended up taking 2 tests with me. I took the first response test, which actually has the lines, so I took that one first. So I took that in my rage and in my feelings, and 2 lines came up straight away, and I was like, oh, okay. And obviously, again, still in my feelings, I told them, yeah, well, I think I'm pregnant because I'm taking a test. And him, in his feelings, he was like, yeah, whatever, we'll see once you take another one in the morning. So I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. I was so anxious. I was like, oh my gosh. Sten ends up waking me up at like 6 a.m. and he was like, please go and take another test because I can't sleep. So I ended up taking a clear blue test, and that one is a digital one, so that tells you if you're pregnant, like actually tells you if you're pregnant or not pregnant straight away. So I took the test, the clear blue test, instantly came up and it said pregnant. So I was pregnant. I literally was so happy, anxious, overwhelmed. I had like a whole range of different emotions at the time. Stem was obviously happy. I think we forgot about what we were fighting about, which was nice, but I was crying out of control. Like, I was uncontrollably crying, and Stem didn't understand. He was like, why are you crying like this? Like, no one died. And I was like, I know, but I was just so overcome with so much emotions. I can't describe it. And of course, because of what we went through, that also played a part in terms of finding out I was going through this basically again. So that's basically how we found out. So how do we tell people, and when do we tell people? So normally you shouldn't really tell people that you're pregnant until, well, they say you shouldn't until after your 12-week scan or after your first trimester, because the chances of miscarriage significantly reduces after then, and you want to make sure everything's okay with the baby. But I wanted to at least tell my family that I was pregnant as soon as possible, simply because we didn't the last time and I really needed like prayer and support. So we decided just to tell our immediate family, like our parents and our siblings, when we got back from our holiday. I actually found out my sister-in-law was pregnant as well, so we went through pregnancy at the same time, which was also nice. So we only then started telling our friends after our first scan, and we were in the clear for our baby. And we literally, I didn't announce it on Instagram that early at all. I didn't tell people on Instagram until I was at least like, I want to say like 7 months. I only announced it on Instagram. I was about 7 months into pregnancy, simply because I wanted to keep it private. I didn't make any videos in that time either. I mean, release any videos in that time, simply because I just wanted to take it all in, and I guess a little bit out of fear because of what happened last time as well. I didn't want to kind of go through that publicly. I just kept it on the low and kept it on a need to know basis as well. So that's kind of like my reason for like only telling people now, or telling you guys now, that I had a whole baby. So my first trimester, so I'll go through my symptoms. My first and second trimester wasn't as bad as most people. So I didn't have excessive morning sickness. I didn't vomit at all, really. I had nausea, but only if I was hungry and it was the first thing in the morning. I would get a little bit of nausea and then it would subside once I had like a cracker. Like, it wasn't a big deal. I never really vomited or felt sick. I did have shortness of breath. Like, I could not breathe. Like, I was literally breathing so heavily, like every time someone was next to me, they're like, did you just run a marathon? Like, why are you breathing so heavy? And Stem was like, are you breathing for 2? Every time I was around him on the phone, people were like, are you okay? Like, you sound like you just run up a few stairs. And I'm like, no, I've been sitting here for like 10 minutes. I'm fine. But I could not breathe. Like, I don't know if it was because my lungs were moving or shifting, but it is a common pregnancy symptom to have shortness of breath. But my one was crazy. Like, I literally was breathing so heavy all the time, to the fact that I was snoring. And guys, I don't snore. Like, sometimes you have to check if I'm breathing when I sleep, because I don't make a sound. But while I was pregnant, I was snoring. And at first I didn't believe Sten when he was telling me that, babe, you're starting to snore, because he's the snorer in the relationship, until he recorded me, and I was like, oh, my bad. So I started snoring, my breathing really got bad, and then the first trimester, obviously my breasts were extremely sore. I'm being really candid here. Hopefully there's no guys watching this, but it's the reality of it. My breast got really sore, and because it was happening so much in my first trimester, when I wasn't telling people, I'll be hugging people and stuff like that, and they would squeeze me really hard, and I'll be like, oh, that really hurt. So my breast got so sore, but then that slowly subsided in my second trimester. Tiredness, I was extremely tired. Every day, all day, I was tired. Like, that would be my constant state. No matter how much sleep I got, I was always tired, and that really affected me quite a bit. Moving on to my second trimester, I think at that point the tiredness, it got okay. I think that was probably like my best trimester, and they do say that's actually quite a good time where I didn't really feel too pregnant. I was, you know, somewhat okay. The nausea wasn't as bad. However, because I wasn't getting those symptoms, I was eating like crazy. I was eating everything in sight, like everything in sight. Like, I was always eating. I blew up so much in my second trimester. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I was eating so much. I thought that, oh, you know, you're pregnant, you're eating for two, you don't have to eat for two. You just feel like you do, you don't actually have to. But I was really indulging in that time. And also in that time, at about 20 weeks, 21 weeks, I started getting really bad pain in my stomach as well as in my hips as well, and that lasted for about 2 weeks, but I was told that it's actually just round ligament pain, and I think at that time the baby was getting really big really quickly, so everything was expanding really quickly, which was causing the pain. So that was like a really key symptom that I had in that time, as well as some tiredness as well. In terms of my third trimester, child, my third trimester was crazy. I think at that point I was ready to get this baby out ASAP. I was so ready. I literally doubled in size because of the fact that I was eating everything. I started swelling really badly. I was in so much pain simply because of the weight of the baby. I started waddling. I couldn't walk straight. My breathing was bad before, it was worse now. My nose probably hasn't even gone back to the size it was before, but my nose spread. I hardly took any pictures at that time, which I kind of regret now because you know, they're all memories, but I'll kind of put in some bump shots whenever I talk about it. But yeah, the third trimester was definitely my hardest. When I hit 28 weeks, it's like everything went downhill because I didn't understand why I was so heavy. I was like, I'm so ready to get this baby out of me. Yeah, I was so ready to get the baby out of me. So ready. Cravings. I didn't have weird cravings. I think the weirdest craving that I had was in my first trimester, and that's when I was really hooked on having cucumber and salsa together. So I would have so much cucumber in the house, and I would slice them up, dip them in hot salsa and eat them, and it was like heaven. I loved it so much. And that lasted for about, I want to say about a month to 6 weeks. I was eating that literally like every day, every other day, because I was craving it so badly. But the two things that did last my entire pregnancy was Twix and Rio Tropical, the drink. Like, I was obsessed with Rio and Twix. Like, if I can have that all day, every day, I would have been satisfied. And it was so weird because I wasn't really into chocolate before I was pregnant, and I wasn't really a fizzy drink person either. But when I was pregnant, child, I love those. I love them so much. I would send them to shop to get me Rio all the time. It made me so happy. So those were like kind of the key cravings that I had. In terms of work, so I work pretty far. So I live in Kent and my workplace is like central London. So, and I used to get a coach into work simply because the prices of the trains where I live was insane. So I was getting a coach into work, and that coach will take me 2.5 hours in the morning, another 2.5 hours in the evening. So I was getting home I was leaving the house about 7 AM and getting home about 8 PM that evening. So it was long anyway, so imagine doing that while pregnant was just exhausting. Obviously I was catching some sleep on the coach, excuse me, but I was getting no physical activity. I was literally on my bum for 2.5 hours, not even 2.5 hours, let's say 4 hours outside of work. I'm already on my bum in the office, but outside of the office I'm there sitting on the coach for nearly 4 hours, which was really difficult. I worked from home like once a week for the first for the half of my pregnancy until it got till the end, and I was working from home 3 times a week. I think I was about 7 months pregnant before I started working from home a little bit more, but in those 7 months it was really difficult, so I was hardly getting any activity, which is what I would suggest or recommend, is making sure that you do get physical activity when you're pregnant, because it makes a huge difference. And that's definitely something that I would do for next time, regardless of where I'm working, is to make sure that I'm getting my walks in, working out, staying flexible, staying active, because it does make a huge difference close to the end, as well as after as well. So that's definitely a tip. Make sure you stay active and don't overindulge like I did. My eczema. So as you know, when you're pregnant, your skin glows, your hair grows, it's lit, like it's really, really good. So that's what happened to me. Like my hair grew so thick, even though it was in a wig half the time, because no one has time to be doing your hair when pregnant. No one has time. So my hair got really, really thick, but my skin was glowing, and on top of that my eczema disappeared. When I was about 7 months, I realized that my eczema was fading, or 6 months I think. Oh, my eczema was fading, and if you see it now, like, I want to put like a side by side, because it's crazy at how much my skin has changed because of the pregnancy. I'm probably making another video about it, but my skin literally glowed. And how we found out I was having a boy. So we did a gender reveal video instead of a party, and we sent that out to our friends and our family. We did it inside the house. I'll insert clips of how we found out. I instinctively knew I was having a boy, but so I was more shocked that I was right than anything else. So it was really nice to know that, you know, your instincts were actually right. But yeah, so we ended up having a boy, and the video was very cute. But one key thing that did happen was that I was diagnosed with preeclampsia. Close to, well, the week of when I actually gave birth. So I gave birth to my son on the 30th of December. He was actually due on the 18th of January. So a good 3 weeks before his due date, I had to give birth to him because I had preeclampsia. But I will get into that in another video, in the labour and delivery video. So preeclampsia is pretty much, in layman terms, high blood pressure. And the only way to cure high blood pressure is to give birth, basically. I mean, to cure preeclampsia is to give birth. So that's what I pretty much had to do in order to get on my medication and get better. But I'll get into more detail in another video. Yeah, I think that I've covered pretty much everything for my pregnancy journey. I will go into more detail about my labour and delivery, because it was a unique experience having preeclampsia and giving birth and being induced. Was quite a big thing, so I'll make sure I will cover all of that in my next video. One thing I would say is, if you are currently pregnant or you are looking to get pregnant, make sure you are an advocate for your health. But as you know, the rate of black women in the UK, and I think also in the US, of them unfortunately passing away during childbirth or having complications in their childbirth or their pregnancy is at a crazy rate in comparison to our white counterparts. So make sure that you are an advocate for your own health. So make sure that if you are feeling anything, telling your midwife, being persistent about your care, changing hospitals, changing your midwife if you feel like you're uncomfortable there or uncomfortable with them, but just making sure that you are persistent and you don't put all of your trust in them, because unfortunately they can be negligent, and that's what kind of happened to me in terms of my late diagnosis. When I found out that I had preeclampsia, the signs were there way before with the swelling and things like that. Make sure that you are advocate for your own health. I just want to give you a brief snapshot about the journey. So that's pretty much everything. I don't want to keep this video too long and bore you guys to death. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions that you want me to address in the next video, please leave them down below. I'm also going to be talking about my postpartum story as well and breastfeeding, so make sure that you leave any suggestions or questions that you have down below. This is such a different experience for me, of course. It was a new experience for me, as it probably is for so many. So ask away, and I'm free to share, because I know everyone's situation is so different. So it's always nice to get different perspectives. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in my next video.